not gonna lie, it's kind of awkward talking to just the camera by myself. But let's see, give ourselves a challenge. How quickly can we paint a landscape? Keep it really simple, which is just make it a beach. We'll try and keep it minimal, and we'll just go to some basic things. So I might talk out loud as I do it, so I'm going to get my thinking process on the camera, so people might have to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So let's do this fast. Dark blue at the top, side to side, helps blend it out, make it nice and calm. Now if you look at the horizon, and that's still got that blue on it from before, so with that light blue coming up, give ourselves little frames. This is what we're kind of aiming to maybe get in our landscape. Okay. Bring it up. If you look at the horizon, you'll see it is lighter at the bottom and the top. Now if we do want some clouds, we can probably get them. If you want movement, it's nice to drag them from a corner out, because it's very rare that they're just going to come perfectly at you. You're going to move from the bottom, and because as you're looking down at the horizon, you're going to see them start to layer up. So you get more clouds bunching up in here over the rock horizon than you will up here. You might get maybe one, and it'll kind of stretch above you. So we're doing that, we're trying to get paint off the brush. And kind of just lightly blend that in. It might do the work for us if we just kind of blend it in the direction of which they're meant to be drifting. There you go, don't overdo it, otherwise you're going to lose. That white paint's going to fade. Bring that down. Okay, I need to get a little bit off that brush. Just blend it softly into that. There we go. Very lazy cloud. Okay. That's drying, so that's going to, actually it's going to help me. I thought it was going to be a little bit more difficult, but because it's drying, the layers underneath aren't moving into the white paint, which is going to help us a little bit. There we go, just fluff that up a little bit at the end. Soften it, boom, bring it down, let it drift, and then we can knock it back over here. Probably should have brought in an area of contrast, we can get the background separate from now. Okay, so a tip, load up the brush, drag it back, flip it, drag it back. Okay, boom, use the shoulder, helps us get a nice line in there, could have gone higher, but I'll add something there that will hide it. Okay. Trick to doing the sand is getting the sand in first. You need a clean brush, or you need to make sure your brush is clean. It is not. Let's just use that one. Hopefully, there we go. Now, we get the sand in, boom. Bring it up. The sand is going to give us the green that we want. So you've all seen photos of beautiful tropical beaches, or you've lived by one or been lucky enough to live at one all the time. There we go, get it in. Now, what people make the mistake of is when they're painting is over blending everything, or not putting enough colours into it. So here, it's very boring, very bland. What we're going to do, keep it very simple. We're going to chuck some white at the front, and that's going to help us get the right tone for one. We don't want to overdo it and have patches of it, but that's going to create a little bit more depth in our sand. Drag that back in, maybe compositionally work it with that. I'm doing a portrait landscape, which is a bit of an oddity in itself, but this will help you see all the layers. Next step, we go back to the blue. When blue and yellow mix, you get a nice green. Well, in this case, it's a nice green. But it's going to get a little bit lighter. So that is going to create a nice, shallow areas of water. Now, we don't want it perfectly straight, because water isn't straight. It moves, it flows, the sand isn't even, it goes, it will fill the space that is lowest. And then it will drag the sand out, roll onto it again, continue its cycle. Now this is where you need to decide if you want to add waves, if you want it to be calm. What do you want from your beach? Is the beach sheltered? Is it a bay? What are we rolling with? So if you want to put a bay in, let's go. Add that. Some limited colours here, but we can probably get the job done. There we go. So our lighting, we've got to decide. Let's pop it that way. So with the lighter side here, we will bring in some land. So let's play around with it. Let's have some tonal changes and some color changes. So where it is going to be darker is where the light's not going to reach. So if they're mountains, which we can, let's put a few more bumps in them. Give it a darker side. Let's add some more brown. Probably miss a little bit of blue. But let's just get rid of this side. Going to be lazy with a big brush, just the corner, drag it out. Use your paintbrushes, paint strokes, to kind of create some of the texture, some of the direction in that mountain. You can actually create quite a bit of the illusion just using your brush strokes. Actually are quite important to what you're doing when you create your paintings. So we've got a darker side. We can go back, we do a lighter side. I'm just being lazy. But I'm trying to speed through it. There we go, let's bring some highlights. Once again, you can use the brush strokes to bring it down. This isn't going to be an award-winning painting, but it will show you some of the dynamics within the painting. Now, if we want to do that water, actually bring a bit of white to the front. There we go. So let's get this in. So if you're pointing and it's cutting into the paint, if you use the side of your paintbrush or flat, you actually use the surface area to do it. Okay, if we bring this back, play with the surface of the water a little bit, create a little bit more depth in there, gone too far. But what can we do here? Maybe we bring a wave into there. Okay, so let's get a little bit of that paint off. Got too much paint, and a wave. So we want to get the shape. So get a curve. It's probably too big for this beach, but let's have a little bit of fun. Okay, so what happens with waves as the water is pushed, it rises as the space and the speed don't match, and eventually goes to a point where it is going to collapse on itself. So we can add a little bit more blue, a little more tan, and cheat our way back into this. It's going to lift a bit of sand up as it moves and it gets shallow. That sand is going to get sucked up and dropped. So let's bring it out that way, and as it collapses, might not barrel, it's probably not that fast being this close to the shore. Get that, it's going to fall on itself. Let's just space it out a little bit. Give it the idea. We can probably fade it back too. You can take a little bit of contrast out of it by repeating brush strokes. It softens it a bit. Then, if we really want to make it pop and create a moment of interest, we're going to bring some tension to the viewer here. Here we go. It's going to fall on itself. So as it goes, use the end of the brush, you can dab it around, get a little bit of texture, but you want to paint in the direction of how it's going. If you're painting this way, trying to get that flow, it's not going to happen. You're going to need it to break on itself. It can be a little bit chaos over here. Okay, let's get that. We even have a little spray, but we'll do that once it's brush is dried out a little bit, then you can go over it without having that lack of control and really kind of play with the idea. So don't worry that it's not bright enough, not yet. We're going to need some spaces that have less interest and have more interest. If you do it all white, it's going to be overkill. Less is more. Build it up slowly, find out, stand back. That's the point of doing this on a vertical canvas. You can stand back and see how it looks. Okay, so let's get that in. Let's go with a little bit of green, a little bit of blue. Create a shadow under there. Because that sunshine is not going to catch that unless it is reflecting through the wave. Which means at the front of the whitewash, there's going to be a little bit of shadow in there too. So we've got to think about how this light is impacting this picture, how this light is reflecting off the objects that we've placed in it. So let's go with a little bit of blue, going to be a little bit brighter here. Probably should mix a little bit more sand into it. So I mean a little bit of this tan colour, there we go. Just going to soften it a little bit. Okay, a little white over here maybe. Sun it out a little. Maybe it's starting to break. Maybe it's starting to give just here. Maybe it's thinking about breaking, but it hasn't quite got the momentum, so parts of it are giving. It doesn't give all at once, builds up, falls. So it's going to splash down here. As it hits, it's going to break up and bounce, and just need a lot of energy kind of falling. Now we've got some white and contrast in here, and a little bit just here, just to capture that moment. This is the moment we're capturing. We're setting up the background for this one moment. Setting up an atmosphere. We've got this energy about to erupt. A little bit of contrast. And we have this. We're going to create a moment of suspense where is this bit about to break, or is this bit going to reform into a wave? Right now it's definitely going to break, it's too thick. So we need to soften that. Now I think that's quite a nice little picture. You could really create more depth by putting something in the foreground. And let's just go with it, like, why not? There we go. The nice thing about this paint here too is if you put this back into the water, it makes this sand here look wet. So it looks like the water's lapped up over the sand, and you've got this wet sand just in front of it. So it's just come up, now it's receding. Bit of white, bring this closer, let's go with it. Let's go with that, that's nice. Put too much green in there, so it's going to go. Just want to play with that scale. If we have something small and make it really big, it's going to take some of the attention away, but it's also going to put that layering process in context. So you can draw with a brush, let's be lazy. If you drag your brush through some paint for a nice flat, you can use that edge just to kind of like dab down and print out something. So let's print out starfish. So as it gets closer, we're going to do this. 5. And if this one's facing us, it's probably going to be a lot larger. So kind of got that where I want it. I should have something else in there just to really offset it because it's just too much. It's too centered. I really need something here to pull that back in compositionally. Let's get that light can be dancing across the top of that. It's going to be down in that direction. Okay, let's go. Let's add heaps of texture. Let's just really draw the eye into that. Now I can probably shake that with some brown paint, create the shadow. I'm not going to use black, it's going to make everything go grey. Brown is going to be a nice middle ground for us. It's going to create shadows without making everything that horrible grey colour. You should really learn to mix colours without using just black. In fact, you should learn how to use or mix black without black. Get nice cold tones and variations. Add red for a nice warm black for portraits. Give it a bit of soul. Use a blue black for steels and cold metallic feelings. Imagine it's in a frame. Today it's in a painted frame. Let's have a bit of fun with that. There we go. Mix colours up, why not? And the top, since we've got blue, let's have red. Whoa. There we go.